It says, he, Jesus, saw the Spirit of God. So I'm wondering if perhaps it isn't this big public acknowledgement, but it is Jesus hearing that still small voice and receiving the message, you are my son, you are my daughter, the beloved, in whom I am well pleased. Take a moment and feel that. Each one of us is the beloved of God. Each one of us has a spiritual inheritance that was given to us, not just at our birth, but before we ever entered this physical plane. Am I the only one crying? Well, Roderick just said it all. we can just move on, right? Oh my God. Today we jump into the second in a 6-part series based on Parker Palmer's book, Let Your Life Speak. And last week we talked about this in terms of vocation. Not a vocation that's about finding a career, but a vocation that is about listening to that call of spirit that is seeking to give expression through you in some unique way, that is asking you to serve, that is asking you to give yourself away. Because your presence in this world makes a difference. You are unique in what you have to give. Only you can give. And this is an interesting concept, this idea of really living into our vocation, living into our true selves. Because the traditional idea of vocation is often very much about listening to external voices and responding to them, and that can feel rather uncomfortable. It can feel rather stifling. It can feel like you're not enough, that because you need to fit into some container that is not you. And Parker Palmer in the 2nd chapter talks about this, but he talks about it and says, I now have a different understanding. He says, today I understand vocation quite differently. Not as a goal to be achieved, but as a gift to be received. Discovering vocation does not mean scrambling towards some prize just beyond my reach, but accepting the treasure of true self, a true self that I already possess. Vocation does not come from a voice out there calling me to be something I am not. It comes from a voice in here, calling me to be the person I was born to be, to fulfill the original selfhood given me at birth. Take a moment to receive that. This selfhood, this gift, this treasure that you were given at birth and that has been calling you since you entered the world to show up and live it. And just a few more words from Parker Palmer. He says it is a strange gift, this birthright, this gift of self. Accepting it turns out to be even more demanding than trying to be someone else. I can certainly relate to that. There's a level of personal and spiritual integrity that we're called to live when we say, yes, this is who I am. This is who I have come here to be. And I will take every step imbued with that sense of purpose and that understanding of what this gift is and how this gift is here to be given away. You know, if we were to look at the story of Jesus, we might see his calling, the moment in which he really understands it, as his baptism by John. I'm reading from Matthew chapter 3, verse 16. And when Jesus had been baptized, just as he came up from the water, suddenly the heavens were opened to him, and he saw the Spirit of God descending like a dove and alighting on him. And a voice from heaven said, "This is my Son, the beloved, in whom I am well pleased." You know, when I was looking at this scripture in preparation for today, I noticed something that I hadn't noticed before. You know, every time I've thought of this story and all the depictions we see, you know, we see this dove descending and we hear this voice of God. And I always have thought of it as a public acknowledgement. But it's really interesting here. It says, he, Jesus, saw the Spirit of God. So I'm wondering if perhaps it isn't this big public acknowledgement, but it is Jesus hearing that still small voice and receiving the message. You are my son. You are my daughter, the beloved, in whom I am well pleased. Take a moment and feel that. Each one of us is the beloved of God. Each one of us has a spiritual inheritance that was given to us, not just at our birth, but before we ever entered this physical plane. Now, what do you think Jesus did after he received this message? We might think, okay, he got a sense that this is my ministry, I'm going to go out and do it. The next thing he does, however, is to go into the wilderness and pray and fast. And we all know what happens in the wilderness, right? Jesus is tempted by the devil. In unity theology, that temptation is the temptation to live outside of the awareness of our connection with God. It is a sense of separation consciousness that calls us back to a limited sense of who we are. It is a temptation to forget and to think that we need to live our lives anchored in a physical reality that is somehow separate from spirit, but it is not. And so Jesus is tempted in three ways. The tempter said to him, "If you are the Son of God," now remember, Jesus has been fasting for 40 days. He's a little on the hungry side. And so the devil says, "If you are the Son of God, command those stones to become loaves of bread." Give up your spiritual practice. You don't need to bother with all this. Turn the stones into bread and have a nice little feast here, right? And Jesus doesn't comply with that. He says, one does not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God. This is our true source. God is our true source. We live in this physical world, yes. And first and foremost, we are spirit. Then the devil took him to the holy city and placed him on the pinnacle of the temple, saying to him, "If you are the Son of God, throw yourself down, for it is written, He will command His angels concerning you, and on their hands they will bear you up so that you will not dash your foot against a stone." A call for personal ambition, a display of his power. Jesus, once again, does not comply. Again, it is written, "Do not put the Lord your God to the test." And finally, the devil took him to a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their splendor. And he said to them, "All these things I will give you, if you will fall down and worship me." Jesus said to him, "Away with you, Satan, for it is written, worship the Lord your God and serve only him." Only God. No other idols, no other ways of disconnecting from your essence, but only God. So, Jesus found this task of being his true self a little bit demanding, just as we do. Big sigh of relief, right? And here's the thing. The spiritual journey is rich and rewarding and fulfilling. I believe it is the only way we can truly find a sense of actual deep fulfillment, because it is responding to that inner purpose for which we were created. But it does take all of us, every single aspect of our being. And, we talk about Jesus as our way shower. He chose to say yes to that, but I don't think it was just in the wilderness. I think day by day he said yes. He responded to the demands of spirit because, like Parker Palmer, he saw this as a gift. And, the next thing Jesus did, again, he didn't just go out and preach. The next thing he did was to call his disciples. He built a team around him who could support the work and who could carry it forward after he departed. And Parker Palmer notices the power of companionship, of spiritual community, you might say, on this journey. Because I do not believe it is ever a journey we can take alone. We need to get still and quiet and spend time alone with God, and we need to reach out to one another and support one another on that journey. We need to see the Christ in one another when maybe we can't see it in ourselves. We need to be called higher by our friends and companions. And we need to recognize that it's all of us together because we are one. Parker Palmer says it this way: "As I learn more about the seed of true self that was planted when I was born, I also learn more about the ecosystem in which I was planted, the network of communal relationships in which I am called to live responsibly, accountably, and joyfully with beings of every sort. Only when I know both seed and system, self and community, can I embody the great commandment to love both my neighbor and myself." I love that idea, the seed, that internal sense of self, and the community, the sacred whole of which we are part of. And it is essential that we embrace that. It is why spiritual communities are formed, I believe. And I just need to, they don't know that I'm doing this. I didn't know it myself till this morning. But I want to acknowledge your board of trustees. They came together yesterday all day. And they came together in community. They came together to support one another on this journey, to live in harmony with Spirit, and to support this community in its journey forward. And it was a sacred experience, and I really want to acknowledge and thank each member of the board for that. And here's the interesting thing. Community is not just about the people. Companionship can extend beyond the people we share this planet with, to life itself. Rumi says, I love this, through companionship with the ground, a grapevine grows. It opens into the earth's darkness and flies. It becomes selfless in the presence of its origin and learns what it really is. I love the idea of moving into the darkness of the earth, experiencing the mystery of life, the mystery of spirit. And as you dig your roots into that earth, something emerges that takes flight, that grows and expands, and it tells you, this is who you really are. This is who you really are. And so, my invitation to us is to keep looking, to keep listening for that still small voice, and to keep surrendering to it, to ask it daily, how would you have me serve? How can I be your instrument in this world? And I'd like to close. I was gifted with a poem yesterday by Hafiz. And it spoke so much to the journey that we are on and to what I see emerging in this community. Know that to God's eye, all movement is wondrous language, and music, that wild, exquisite music. Oh, what is laughter, Hafiz? What is this precious love and laughter building in our hearts? It is the glorious sound of a soul waking up. Look around you. See the wonder. As you engage with this community, hear that exquisite music and know that what you are witnessing is a soul waking up, the soul of the individuals in this community and the soul that is Unity Church of the Hills. I am so blessed to join you, to companion with you on this journey. Namaste.
So Rev Cynthia's talk today was the second in a 6-week series based on Parker J. Palmer's book, Let Your Life Speak. It's not too late to join one of the UCOH Spirit Circles for the book study to correspond with this series of Sunday talks. Check online for available Spirit Circles to join. The book is available in the bookstore. Let's expand our light into the community by sharing warmth. Now through February 12th, we will be collecting new and gently used twin-size blankets and cozy socks for individuals in long-term care facilities and memory care centers whose family is unable to visit them or have no family at all. Donations will be shared on Valentine's Day, and you can check the UCOH calendar for more details. There are so many ways in which we can expand the light and love in our world. In February, we are inviting you to expand that light by sharing a gift every day through the month. This comes from the 29 Gifts practice shared by a woman named Cammie Walker, challenged by a diagnosis of MS that was turning her life upside down. Cammie was given an unusual prescription: give a gift every day for 29 days. Cammie states that this saved her life. UCOH members are encouraged to engage this practice and share your stories on the UCOH Facebook page. Next Sunday at 8:30 in Legacy Suite on Facebook, Jean Lean shares her gentle wisdom in a contemplative Sunday service message titled, "Just Do It." Join us for a cup of coffee and this inspiring talk, Just Do It. At 11:30, we welcome fellow Texan Reverend Doug Dewar to our platform. Please join us in the sanctuary or online as Rev Doug helps us discover the open door of possibility, the third talk of the Let Your Life Speak series based on Parker Palmer's book.
If you are online, I invite you to call Silent Unity, and that number is available to you. I also want you to know that we do have a pastoral care team that is available to provide support in various ways. So if you have a pastoral care need, please contact the church office and we'll connect you with the right people. I also want to remind you that Monday nights I hold a prayer call on Zoom. It's an opportunity for us to be in the silence together and hold the high watch for this ministry.
Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I circulate, and I am grateful.